up, guys? Welcome to the channel, welcome to the show. Today we're going to talk about episode 10 of the brand new, excuse me guys, I got the hiccups, of the brand new sci-fi series Van Helsing, and episode 10 was titled Stay Away. So like pretty much all the episodes of this series, I got my jot notes here to remind, sorry guys, I apologize, to remind myself exactly what is going on. Now I literally just finished watching the episode, so I pretty much have a good idea of what I'm going to talk about here, but just in case I forget something, I got this little book of jot notes. So right after the bat, the episode opens with the survivors getting ambushed by a bunch of vampires, and I had to say the actual camera work in this scene was actually done really well. I thought it was actually pretty unique. Some of the angles and the turns that the cameraman was making, I thought that was done really well. And like I said, considering that the episode started with them being ambushed, you really got a lot of action right at the very beginning of the show, so that's a good thing. It was really good because you're right invested. You get so invested right into the show right off the bat, and they start getting attacked by a ton of vampires, but then out of nowhere, these two strangers come in and actually help fight off the vampires, help Vanessa and the survivors fight off these vampires. But these two strangers, they're really cool. They came in like they had the crossbow. I thought that was awesome. So it was almost like there's another group or something now, that Vanessa was meeting up with. Now obviously as the episode goes on, we learn a lot more about this group and stuff like that, but just here at the beginning, it was pretty cool. They had bow and arrows, they looked pretty badass, and one of the guys there was wielding a sword, much like the sword that Vanessa has here, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the image right here, the sword. And he was doing really good. He was kick ass, actually. He's killing a lot of vampires. So those two strangers bring the survivors back to their community, and their community is actually called Eden. I'm assuming that's kind of like a referral to, like the Garden of Eden type thing, almost like a representation of life or something, maybe, I'm guessing. And plus, a lot of the women there were pregnant, and as we know, for some reason in this post-apocalyptic world, it's really hard for women to give birth and have them survive, or the baby survive, or both survive. You know what I mean? So I guess that's another reason why maybe they called this little community Eden. Maybe I'm not 100% sure. I'm just guessing. I'm assuming. I don't really know. So they get to the community called Eden, and of course Eden is ran by a leader, and the leader's name is Micah. Eden stays safe. So Eden don't have to worry about getting attacked by vampires or anything, because Micah actually made a deal with the vampires, with the feeders, and Eden gives the vampires fresh blood every month. So every month they come to collect, and they want basically fresh blood. So I guess they tap into their own veins and fill up like mason jars and stuff full of blood. And then they give it to the feeders. But then as the story goes along in the episode, though, we actually find out that Micah used to actually be the husband of the female vampire that comes to collect every month. But you don't know that at this point, you just learn that later on. But a really beautiful scene happens. Doc ends up bringing life into the world. She safely delivers a baby, in which the baby and the mother survives. And that is the first time this actually happened on the show, at least as far as we know from our point of view, from Vanessa's point of view. So that was just really beautiful, seeing life being born. And I mean, it sucks that the life and the kid is being born into this post-apocalyptic world, but it's a beautiful moment, to see that life continues. Life will go on, almost like, nature and the world recycling itself. You're brought into the world, and you live off the world, and then you die, and then you're buried back into the world. You know what I mean? So it's like a recycling, never-ending, cycle, we'll say. But then eventually Doc tells Vanessa the truth about what happened with Axel. She opens up to Vanessa, telling her that, hey, I basically closed the doors on him, and I believe that's actually the second time that happened now. And of course, Vanessa bees so distraught by this and so emotionally impacted, I guess, that she basically tells Doc, basically kicks Doc out of the surviving group, basically kicks him out of the group. And then, of course, as the story goes on, the episode goes on, Vanessa gets up close and personal with one of the men of Eden. One of the men there, he's big and strong, he's a good fighter, and he's attractive, and of course Vanessa's attractive, so they basically are attracted to each other. But before they get to second base, we'll say, so before they go all the way and actually get physical, Vanessa actually bites him, and she explains to him what she can do. So she, you know, opens up to this guy from Eden and tells him that you know, she has all these abilities and that she can do all this stuff, but also tells her that, you know, in some ways she's kind of part vampire as well, which I guess is why she bites him. But it's the first time I think we ever see, it's not the first time we ever see Vanessa lose control, because when she's trying to save Susan back towards the beginning of the season, or about, you know, a few episodes back at least, she really loses control when she's fighting that monster or that vampire. But this is the first time we've ever seen her lose control, as in the sense that she actually bites a human. So it'd be very interesting to see that how she goes forward from there, because, you know, she could potentially become a threat, but I don't think she will, because I think she just has enough willpower alone, and she has enough good in her where she'll never actually truly be a threat. And then, of course, another awesome scene, which ends quite abruptly, actually, but is cool at first. Sam finally sees Muhammad, so Sam and Muhammad is finally reunited, and of course, well, because they meet, well, obviously Muhammad is now reunited with the survivors as well, and I'm so excited and happy for that. I was afraid that they were going to drag that on forever, because I love Muhammad. He's definitely my favorite character, I think, besides Vanessa. I really like Vanessa. I really like Susan too, because she's pretty badass with a gun. But I really like Muhammad, and I like Axel too, I guess, but he's not my favorite. But I'm still convinced he's still alive. Or I'd say actually, I would imagine he's a vampire, and eventually maybe he'll turn. Maybe that's how the season will end, or maybe the season will end with them having to confront Axel, but they won't actually show it. Who knows where the season will actually end? But as soon as Sam and Muhammad meet and reunite, Sam actually kills one of the men from Eden. Reason why he kills him obviously is because the man locked him up earlier, basically locked him away. So as soon as he gets out, he shoves a knife into his chest and literally just kills that guy. And then we find out that Micah actually sacrifices babies to the vampires. So, you know, with that successful birth of the baby, he actually agrees to give that baby to the vampires, or he has already agreed a long time ago when he made the deal with the vampires about fresh blood, but he didn't tell the rest of Eden, the rest of the community, that he actually gives the babies to the vampires. But Vanessa figures this out pretty quickly, because obviously she's so smart. And then the other guy from Eden, who she has an attraction to, both two of them, him and her, go, and they're actually able to save the baby. And then, of course, towards the end of the movie, or towards the end of the episode, once everyone finds out about what Micah was doing, sacrificing the babies, the survivor, I can't remember his name now, the survivor with the glasses, who used to be a vampire but turned back, actually goes up and kills Micah by putting a knife through the back of his throat, which is very graphic, I would say. A lot of deaths in this episode. It's not really from any survivors, but a lot of deaths from the guys from Eden. But then I think the biggest part of this whole episode that we have to learn from is that Doc actually gives up and goes back to the vampires and tells them basically, you know, hey, I want you guys to turn me back into a vampire, because I don't like being a human, and I don't feel like I should be a human. And more importantly, I think it's because she just messed things up so much with Vanessa that I think she just is trying to take the easy way out. So she goes back to the female vampire and says, hey, why don't you turn me into a vampire and help me, you know, and turn me into the beast again, and just let me live out my days as a vampire as opposed to a human. So obviously she bites Doc and to get her to turn, but then we realize that Doc cannot be changed back into a vampire, and obviously I'm assuming that's because of Vanessa churning her back. Maybe whenever Vanessa changes someone back from being a vampire, maybe she imprints on them, and they are then stuck as humans, and they can never be turned back, which is actually pretty interesting if you ask me, because hypothetically, if that's the case, then Vanessa could actually clear up the whole world eventually, if she could actually get around to if she could, you know, create a big enough rebellion. All the vampires would attack them. I mean, I guess the survivors would still die, but at least they wouldn't actually turn. And then, of course, Doc. But then, when the female vampire realizes that Doc won't change, she basically almost like she becomes afraid of Doc, and she pushes her, and Doc ends up falling into the pile of baby skeletons from Micah sacrificing the babies to the vampires. So a ton of stuff happened in this episode. I absolutely love this episode. Can't wait to see what's going to happen next. It's going to be very exciting to see what happens to Doc, because she's kind of in limbo now. She's not really with the survivors, but she's not really with Eden either, so she doesn't really fit in anywhere, and she can't become a vampire again, so she's like in limbo. She doesn't really know where to go, or what group to choose, or what. She doesn't really know her options now. My guess is she'll maybe potentially kill herself, unless Muhammad gets to her first, because I don't think she actually encountered Muhammad yet. She doesn't know Muhammad has returned. on, because at the end of the episode as well, Muhammad asks, you know, where's Doc? So I would imagine that Muhammad may be almost like a savior to her, almost like a guardian angel type thing. I'm thinking that Muhammad might be able to bring her back, you know, and help her get strong again, and also maybe be able to settle the feud between Vanessa and Doc now, because Vanessa's pissed off that Doc locked Axel in. Yeah, but other than that, a whole bunch of great stuff happened. I love this episode. Thought it was better than the last. Can't wait to see next week's. Let me know in that comment section below if you like this episode. Tell me why or why not, and tell me some predictions, what you think is going to happen, how you think this season is going to end. And other than that, if you like this video, leave a thumbs up. We got a brand new subscriber, so thank you very much for your love and support. If you want to join our growing community and become a part of our family, click that subscribe button for absolutely free. And if you want to check out a bunch of other awesome content on this channel, then simply click one of the videos you see on the screen right now.